Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is such a great honour and pleasure for me to welcome you all to the opening of the Seleni Institute. A huge amount of work and effort from many people has made this possible, and I am incredibly proud of them. So, many thanks are due, but you all know who you are. I would like to begin by sharing with you a story that exemplifies the need for Seleni. Some years ago, whilst I was working as a psychotherapist, I was treating a patient whom I shall call Sally. Sally weighed 400 pounds, was 50 years old, was afflicted by acute depression and had constant suicidal thoughts. She lived a life under the burden of misery and perennial suffering. When Sally was very young, she lost her 5-year-old brother to leukemia, and then, to make matters worse, her mother went on to have another child, but this child suffered from Down syndrome. Her mother was so overburdened by her own torment and suffering that she was emotionally unavailable to her daughter. She was at the very best brusque with her words and would tell her things such as, "Your brother died, and when we die, we get buried into the ground and get eaten by worms." I tell you this not to highlight how shameful her words were or her treatment of her daughter was, but rather to explain how difficult it can be to be a parent, especially when terrible things happen. Your capacity to cope for yourself is decimated, let alone your ability to be a good and responsive parent. A woman cannot function as a mother unless she has come to terms with her own pain. It is the airplane oxygen mask theory. You must put your own mask on before that of your child. Some wonderful care, attention and resources are available to children. But children return to the family. So even if Sally had had psychotherapeutic treatment, she would always have gone back to her mother. But if her mother had been treated, she would have had more tools to help her daughter. Ultimately, good parenting is the greatest protector against a cycle of poor mental health and future suffering. Yet there is a woeful lack of resources to support women who are struggling with the burdens of motherhood. Now, the Seleni Institute is a non-profit organisation that George and I started back in 2011 to better address the unique mental health needs of women. As you may know, women are statistically twice as likely to suffer from anxiety as men, and 3 times as likely to suffer from depression at some point in their lives. Women today are still the glue that holds most families together. So, help the women, help the family. And therein lies the core tenet of the philosophy and mission of the Seleni Institute. Seleni provides the evidence-based reproductive and maternal mental health care to the full spectrum of patients that needs it, all under one roof. Seleni was born after an intensive search and extensive research, as starting a new organisation must never be taken lightly. But truly, there is nothing quite like Seleni. We know that this is a neglected area of suffering, and we exist to change that. The Seleni Institute alleviates suffering and destigmatises mental health in 3 different ways. First of all, Seleni supports and funds talented researchers who are investigating and exploring maternal and reproductive mental health care issues. We hope to increase the field's knowledge base in order to enhance existing therapies and perhaps lead to all new therapies. Second, we have an extensive and ever-developing online presence that provides reason and practical wisdom about maternal and reproductive mental health. Our aspiration is to become a thought leader in this field. Last and most important, the clinic. The clinic, which we are now in, is opening this coming Monday. It has a capacity to serve up to 300 patients per week, 300 women I should say, through individual psychotherapy, workshops and support groups, depending on their needs. The main focus of the clinic is women who are suffering from recurrent miscarriages, stillbirths and child loss, prenatal and postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, and depression related to infertility. And these are just some of the issues that women face. Our staff are all leaders in their fields. Many of these issues are still taboo, and as a result, women suffer in silence. Together, we will work to change this. Meanwhile, Seleni's Foundation provides financial assistance to patients who have a limited ability to pay for clinical care. In addition, we have created numerous programs which are focused on parental support. These include lactation support, sleep training, and support for parents with special needs, with children with special needs, I should say, to name but a few. I am so inspired to hear back from the leaders of our workshops, how impactful and needed they are. The mothers involved leave more hopeful and less burdened as a result. On this note, I want to say what an incredible job the team at Seleni has done to bring us to where we are today. I want to single out Rebecca Bengiat, our Executive Director, for her tireless and never-ending efforts. Becca, I would especially like to thank you and commend you. I also want to thank my husband George. Where are you? Without his incessant optimism, endless energy, and moral fortitude, really, none of this would have been possible. Thank you.
There's nothing else like Seleni. There's no other place right now where women can come together for support on such a range of intimate topics. And they're not always comfortable conversations or situations, but for the sake of the woman and for the family, they deserve our utmost attention and compassion. And now, thanks to the immense and generous support of Nitzia and George, we have this tremendous place, this amazing facility, and have brought together the very best experts in the field. It's good. And the feeling tonight is just, this is amazing. So, but I think that you all know that developing the scope and reach of Seleni depends on the support and collaboration of others who share the Seleni ideals and visions. And any contribution will make a difference to women's lives and in turn will alleviate the suffering of families. So I'd like to invite all of you to join us for a more formal tour. We're going to leave every 15 minutes from the lobby. Andrew Stephanopoulos, our clinical director, and I would be more than happy to walk you through this beautiful space. So Andrew and I will meet you there. And truly, on behalf of George and Nitzia and all of us at Seleni, thank you so much for being a part of this opening, and please enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you. Thank you.